Coming up on this week's edition of This Week in Plymouth, the downtown drainage project updates, the new town website is launched, and robotics programs are added to the recreation department lineup. All that and more coming up on This Week in Plymouth. Hello and welcome to This Week in Plymouth. I'm your host, Dan Salzer. The Select Board met this past Monday evening, where Town Manager Scott Whedon updated the board with the progress of the downtown drainage project.
And last but not least is the downtown drainage project update. Russell Street drainage has been completed as of last Friday. The water project is now working up from Warren to Pleasant Street on Russell. The downtown drainage project kicked off today, working from Warren Street up towards Highland Street, coming north from South Main Street up. So that will work over the next few weeks of getting the drainage in. The big question, the big issue that we're facing right now is obviously soils. And we've met a few times with New Hampshire DES, in collaboration with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, Granisi Construction, Wright Pierce engineers from Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, and HEB engineers representing the town. And the fact of the matter is nobody's really sure what type of testing should be taking place. And so with that being said, we have an additional meeting tomorrow morning. And it looks like from a soils management perspective, we are going to have to hire a soil management expert. And that expert will pre-characterize the soils before being dug. And we'll have to identify a place to stockpile materials. And if there is anything identified as being a hazardous material, we will have to comply with soil stockpiling, which means there has to be poly under it, there has to be poly on top of it. I can tell you it could cost us thousands and thousands of dollars in order to do this.
Police Chief Hutchins and Deputy Chief Buffington updated the board with the plans in place for the expected pirate party.
All right, well, let's talk about plans for pirate party.
So we've done a little bit of legwork this year. We've worked with Town Manager Whedon, we've worked with the Town Attorney, but we've also worked with the Attorney General's office this year. And we've compiled a couple of letters that have gone out to social media sites that have promoted in the years past this pirate party. That's an unsanctioned event. All these kids, come together, they take over the town streets, cause havoc, public urination problems. Obviously, it's not anything that's in favor that is anything good for us. Mm-hmm. So we're doing our best to, it's going to be very hard to stop it, but try to kind of redevelop it, how we're going to do it. And we've worked with the university now to see how we can do that. And so the university is willing to put on some events going on campus to try to redirect these students to a campus event and not an unsanctioned event that takes over a town street. It's an illegal event. You can't shut down streets. You can't be doing the illegal activities that happen during these events. So we're doing our best to refocus this to something that happens on campus that's a good event, that is a safe event.
I will say President Burks has really stepped up and said, we're going to do something on Mary Lyons' front lawn. Okay. We're going to bring in a DJ. We're going to provide food. We'll provide restaurant, porta potties, etc., to try to redirect them onto campus on Mary Lyons' front lawn where the Spring Fling concert takes place.
So we're working with state police to see what resources they can provide us as well.
Are we currently operating under the assumption that the tactics we're using is actually going to stifle this, or are we preparing for what we had last year and then hoping we've got a lot of people standing around?
Exactly, absolutely. So everything might look great on paper, but you never know what's going to happen. So we have to prepare for an event that's going to happen off campus, hoping that we can redirect them on campus.
One of the things that we have to look out for is what we don't want is 3 pirate parties. Right. 3 1,000-person parties in 3 different locations.
Right.
So we
It'll
really
be even
need
harder to contain and constrain.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people, as many as we can, to direct them to the right location.
I also had a chance to update the board on the progress of the new town website. As you all know, we've had consistent issues with our current website that I maintain myself, with it constantly crashing, whether it's our host provider for our domain, applications crashing and not updating anymore, things of that nature. It's been a big hassle. It's taken up a lot of my time and resources away from the station itself just to keep the web page functional and up to date for our public, which has been utilized, I think, more than ever before, especially with the newsletter and us being transparent as departments. So over the last 6 months, Scott and I have talked with a couple of companies, Civics Plus and Revise, about their specialties in municipalities with websites, and we opted to go with Revise, one, because of a drastic price difference. I think 1 year's maintenance on Civics Plus was 5 years of coverage for Revise, so it was kind of a no-brainer. What's great about this one, it fits in line with what we have for a budget line right now, so that's covered. We have a payment plan in place, so the remaining balance on this design will come out of next year's budget, and then whatever's in there, that $2,500, can sustain the current website. We can have a rebrand, a redo of a website every 4 years, 4 to 5 years, and we can build off of this if we see the need to have them design a complete website from scratch that is unique to us. This is just template, one of the 5 options that we had just to get us up and running, and I think it is drastically different.
Dan has spent a considerable amount of time with me going back and say, well, what about this, Dan? What about this? Can you check on this? Can you ask him these questions? And kudos to Dan that he really has been very responsive to all the emails that I've sent to him and questions that I've asked, and the company has been very responsive to us.
I'll make a motion that we approve the new website.
All those in favor?
Aye.
With the approval from the board for the new website, we were able to officially launch it this past Thursday. Please head over to www.plymouth-nh.org to see the new website, and please note that the domain will change in the next few weeks to plymouthnh.gov. Diving into some announcements for this week, the Housing Opportunity Planning Subcommittee announced updates on its progress, and you can read the full release on the town website. A reminder that the town clerk's office has announced the final day to change parties before the upcoming election season is October 6th. Be sure to visit the town clerk's office in Town Hall to update your information before the next election. As a reminder, town offices, as well as Pease Public Library and the schools in town, will be closed on October 9th for Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the first year that the town has recognized the holiday since it's changed from Columbus Day last year. PRHS will be having the day off on the 10th as well for Teacher in Service Day. In partnership with Plymouth Elementary School, the Recreation Department will be offering 2 robotics groups, Intro to Robotics and the Robotics Team. For more information, please visit the Recreation Department website or Facebook page. The Recreation Department also announced the annual Ski, Skate, and Sports Sale that will take place on November 17th and 18th in the gymnasium at Plymouth Elementary School. Full details can also be found on the Recreation Department website and Facebook page. The next episode of Pease Public Library's show, Check It Out, aired yesterday here on Pemmy Baker TV. The show explores the upcoming events that are taking place in the library, different reading events, and new books for each age group. Watch replays on our YouTube channel and throughout the week on channel 1302. It's homecoming week at Plymouth State University, and in an effort to reconnect the school community and the town, many downtown businesses are offering deals and discounts this weekend. Visit exploreplymouthnh.com for full details. Picture Read Take Day will happen at the high school on October 4th. PRHS will also have a 2-hour delay on October 18th for another Teacher in Service Day that morning. Now time for PRHS Sports. After a homecoming overtime tie with Kingswood 0-0, the Bobcats field hockey team fell to Plymouth 2-1 on Monday evening. The team returned to action on the road yesterday at Milford. Volleyball picked up its first win of this season in a strong 3-0 win at Kennett this past Thursday. The Bobcats return home on Tuesday, October 2nd against Laconia. The football team extended its winning streak to 4 after a blowout win over rivals Laconia at homecoming game last Saturday, 48-12. The Bobcats put their unbeaten record to the test last night at Sauhegan. You can watch the full replay throughout the week on Channel 1302. Girls soccer looks for that elusive first win of the season when they return home next week for 2 games on Tuesday and Friday against Pelham and Sauhegan. Boys soccer entered Friday with a 4-3-2 record before facing Milford on the road. The Bobcats will continue their road trip with 2 games next week at Sanborn on Wednesday and Pelham on Friday. Looking ahead to next week's meetings, the Plymouth and Pemmy Baker Regional School Boards will be meeting at their normal times on Monday and Tuesday. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is scheduled to meet on Tuesday evening at Town Hall at 7 p.m., pending any applications. And the Planning Board will meet on Thursday evening at Town Hall at 6:30 p.m. in a joint meeting with the HOP Subcommittee. That will wrap up this week's episode of This Week in Plymouth. Remember, you can watch full replays of town meetings, PRHS Sports, and other original content on our YouTube channel and throughout the week on Channel 1302. For our executive producer, Jonathan Picard, I'm Dan Salzer. Be sure to visit the town website and social media pages, and also join the newsletter if you haven't to stay up to date on everything happening in Plymouth. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Plymouth.